Hi everyone, we're back with Isolation Inspiration and it's day 6 and I'm going to flip it today. I'm talking about 3 things every day, something about our family story, something about our food philosophy and something about the Peel family story. Today I'm going to flip it and start with our food philosophy, and what better way than to start with a cup of coffee. So we've been talking about wine and learning a little bit about how we want to think about wine. The natural wine movement is a pursuit of getting back to tasting the fruit and the sense of place of where that fruit's come from. So the natural wine movement is like they don't want to over process the wine, they don't want to add things or import things and add them into the wine so that they taste of something else or somewhere else. They want their wine to be a real expression of the vineyard. In fact, our friend Sam Olive used to use the expression windows into the vineyard. In other words, they don't want it to be, they don't want to produce wine just to give people what they want to drink. Lots of people like Sauvignon Blanc, and you can manipulate all kinds of wines to have that tropical burst of fruit. But that isn't necessarily a true expression of the vineyard where that wine may have come from. And coffee is actually really, really similar. Now, a lot of us are used to drinking coffee in a very different way. We go to Starbucks and we drink very milky drinks, cappuccinos and lattes or sweet drinks. And Starbucks have understood what consumers are looking for. Consumers are looking for a dark, roasty taste. It isn't actually the taste of coffee. It's the taste of the roasting that people really enjoy coming through the milk. And so they dark roast their beans. And the real flavours that you're tasting there are the cooking. A bit like in lots of very oaked wines, the real flavours you're tasting is the oak, not the fruit. Or just like in our cooking, if we manipulate our food, we'll taste something else rather than the main ingredient. So you see there's a theme. It runs through our cooking, it runs through our winemaking, and it also actually runs through coffee. So I don't drink, I occasionally go to Costa and like a roasty hit through some milk, and I love drinking roast, it's really good. But I actually also really like drinking coffee. Proper coffee that actually tastes of the coffee bean. Some of you may not even know where the coffee bean comes from. It comes from inside a cherry, grown on coffee plants, and they're harvested and they're treated in lots of different ways in order to get that bean out of that cherry and to turn that cherry into something that's green initially, that can then be imported and then roasted. And our roaster is Has Been. Now, unlike Starbucks, Has Been's passion is that you will taste the flavour of the fruit that is in the coffee bean, the flavour of that place. So Brazil tastes different from Kenya, which tastes different from a Malabar monsoon in India, which tastes different from coffee grown in other parts of the world. So every cup you drink has the potential and the opportunity for you to taste fruit, to taste acidity, to taste particular tasting notes that you'd similarly expect to find in wine. But coffee, people don't expect that from coffee. They might even be used to freeze-dried coffee. And I love a freeze-dried coffee sometimes, but let's not call it coffee. Let's call it freeze-dried. Freeze-dried with a couple of sugars and a bit of milk occasionally just hits the spot if I'm having a bad day. But it isn't coffee. Coffee is a fruit. Coffee has acidity. Coffee has a life of its own. And some coffees are funky. They've been processed in a way that allows fermentation to happen. So you get a funkiness to the coffee, just like some natural wines. So coffee is a diverse, complex drink that can be enjoyed in lots of ways. And coffee is best drunk black. It's best drunk, in my opinion, filtered through paper. Not from an espresso machine. Espresso machines are great. They give you a quick shot of caffeine, but it's very intense. And they're extracting everything out of those beans very quickly. When you put something through a filter paper and you allow it to extract slowly, you get a much broader, gentler expression of the fruit that is available to you from that place that it's come from. Bolivia, Brazil, Kenya, wherever it may have been that you've ordered your coffee from, India. You can experience the regions of the world and taste the nuances and the flavour. And actually, it's just like wine. And believe it or not, coffee and chocolate have a very similar story. Chocolate, actually, when it's handled really well and is processed sensitively, you get masses of fruit and flavour in it. And I love eating really good dark chocolate that expresses the bean. So our food world is, for me, all about getting back to the raw ingredient and allowing ourselves to explore the world through these amazing tastes. So whether it's coffee or wine, I believe our food philosophy should be about going back to the place that it's come from and having a true sense of place in what you're eating and drinking. So next thing is a little bit about our family story. I'm going to keep it super quick today. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my wife, Fiona. I met her at university in the first year, and she was as crazy then as she is now, doing loads of different things. She was training at the time to be a doctor. She was in the TA, so she was doing military training. She was in the Christian Union, which is where we actually first met in our halls of residence. And she was doing all kinds of crazy creative things. In fact, I remember Fiona rocking up to the first party at our halls of residence dressed as a Dalmatian and Corella de Vil's. She was a group of girls and she was one of the Dalmatians and there was a Corella de Vil in there. It was a typical Fiona. She was always elaborate and creative and imaginative. And as we all know, she continues to be. Fiona, for those of you who don't know, undertook on behalf of our family the task of transforming the Manor from what it was as a care home into what it is today as a beautiful, stylish lifestyle hotel. And hats off to Fiona. Finally, a little note about the Peel family. Just a quick one really about Robert Peel. I've told you before he founded the police force, very famous for all kinds of different reasons, but sometimes you've heard the police called the Bobbies because he was Robert Peeler. They were also called the Peelers, and they are the two most famous names of the Metropolitan Police Force in London, which Robert Peel founded. So that's all from me today. Isolation, inspiration, giving you a window into how we think about food and wine, a little bit about our family story, and something from the Peel story too. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.